What's up, everybody? So I wanted to make this video to dissect some of these terms that we always hear in the urban farming or farming world or gardening world. There's so many terms like regenerative agriculture. We talk about food forests. We talk about permaculture, organic gardening. And so I really wanted to just make this video to kind of explain some of the things that we're doing as a regenerative farm and really understand what that word even means. So by definition, well, regenerative, to generate something means you are creating something, right? And when you put the re in front of that word, regenerate, it means you're really creating something that's creating itself, that's a cycle. And so the first step for us in terms of being a regenerative farm is that we have a nature sanctuary here. We've emphasized the native plants and planting these pollinator friendly plants, not only for the local ecosystem, but for the vegetables that we're growing. So you can see here, we've got a lot of different plants in this area. It's right now it's a little bit hard to see some of them because we're in October right now, so a lot of it's already the blooms have already passed, but these are still excellent. The coneflowers, birds eat these seeds. We still got the asters going. We've got native grasses over here. And I want you to come over here real quick and we'll check this area out. We got the goldenrod over here. That's a very important pollinator plant. In this area over here, we have a project with the Fish and Wildlife Service where we got rid of invasive plants and we reseeded hundreds of different native plants. And so what we're doing is creating a very dense ecosystem, which is really what the ecosystem used to look like. And it's going to be a prairie. Right now we do have to mow it to keep it under control and to really allow the perennial plants to reestablish themselves. But eventually we won't have to really do much at all, and it will be an ecosystem that takes care of itself. And so that's really the core of what we're doing, because it all starts with the soil, and in order to have great soil, you got to have a great ecosystem that's supporting it. So now I want to show you guys the second thing that we do that makes us a regenerative farm, and it has to do with our soil health. Alright, so we're here over in the row crop area, and I want to show you guys what we're doing with soil health on the farm. And it really starts with the fact that when we got here, we never tilled. That's very important. We did a few different things. We actually made a video about this, talking about tarping versus sheet mulching. We did lay tarps in this area, black tarps, that were very effective with killing a lot of the stuff. And we did some mulching afterward. We even composted on some of the land, not all of it, but there were some areas where we were doing windrow composting, which is very effective, killing the weeds and invasive plants underneath. So after that, it put us on a nice start. But the analogy I use is it's kind of like chemotherapy, in the sense that you're killing everything. I'm talking about the tarping method. You're killing everything, and then basically you have to restart over and reintroduce that nutrition back into the soil. And so what we did was, after that, we laid our rows out, and then we started building the soil up as opposed to tilling and going down into the soil. So here what you see is our compost that we formed into rows. And then each year from now, we just have to add a little more compost each year. And so that's something I want to talk about, is thinking about how nature works is understanding the cycle of nature, right? And if we're always taking from nature, it's a relationship that is only benefiting one side, right? So if we're always taking and we're never replenishing the soil, that's a one-way street. We have to create a two-way street where we're giving back to the soil. And so regenerative farming is creating that relationship that's mutually beneficial, where we're able to harvest vegetables, but we're also able to replenish the soil. So come over here real quick. We're going to show you an example of this, right? Because we're trying to break down these kind of scientific terms. What does that mean? Well, earlier in the year we had zucchini growing right here. You can see we've got lettuce that we've seeded and transplanted. We did both. We seeded some and we've also transplanted. And so instead of just ripping this zucchini plant out and then I would disturb all the lettuce and everything around it, what we can do with this is just cut it right down to the base. Just like that, and we're gonna put that in the compost later. But now we're making room for the next crop. We're not gonna till or anything. And so that's an example of regenerative farming, is that we're working with nature here and we're thinking about the soil health in the long run. So when we allow these roots to decompose, we're creating that atmosphere for the good microorganisms to continue their ecosystems below the soil. So let's go check out, now we're gonna check out the compost and what we do with our farm. Well, what would be waste, we're turning it into a resource. All right, so the third thing that we're doing to make ourselves a regenerative farm is that we're composting the organic material, the weeds, the plant debris, and also we're diverting food waste, which we're receiving food waste from different restaurants. We have different partnerships with some food waste haulers. And so we're actually diverting food waste from the landfill and we're bringing it here to the farm and we're turning it into compost. So that mixed in with a variety of carbon sources. We've got some horse bedding mix, leaves, wood chips, and the stuff from the farm. And so we're mixing it into these windrows. This is our receiving area, so that's why it looks a little bit messy. You can see cardboard boxes. There's some pizza boxes over there. Those are totally fine as a carbon source. And so we're mixing it in this area. We're forming it into windrows, and that's why I want to show you guys this area right over here. Well, we just mixed in this windrow. We got to turn it several times, getting that heat up. I just measured the temperature on this one. We're at 148 degrees, which is perfect. Again, thinking about the microorganisms, you don't want the piles to get too hot. Once it gets over 160 degrees, you end up killing off a lot of those beneficial microorganisms. So we're really finding the sweet spot with our compost and really focused on making compost that has life in it, that's not just sterile. And so you can see what the compost eventually looks like over here. It'd be nice if if we lived in a society without plastic, that would be nice, because unfortunately there's no way for us to fully get rid of that. We're always picking the plastic out by hand. But you can see it's very rich. It's got a nice diversity of materials. You know, the unscreened compost, we'll use it right here on the farm. We use plenty of this unscreened compost right here on the farm. We also screen compost and we sell it to other farmers and gardeners, but you don't really have to do that. Unscreened compost is okay as a top dressing, thinking of it more like a mulch, because with soil, right, especially in the midsummer, you need some chunkier materials to prevent the soil from drying out. So, you know, eventually, if you're just using super finely screened compost all the time, which is okay for, like, you know, starting seeds, but as a you know, a row crop style farm, it doesn't necessarily make sense. So you can just use your compost that you're creating on your farm, and you don't have to necessarily screen that. And so those are some of the things that we're thinking about here at Sanctuary Farms that make us a regenerative farm. We're always thinking about the soil health and how we fit into the ecosystem. And so I want you guys to share what you guys do on your garden or farm, how you guys think about regenerative agriculture. And do you think these words or these terms are kind of overused, or are there too many terms out here? Should we all just condense them into one term? You know, I get lost in all these different terms, so I'm always just trying to break things down as simply as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for an exciting fall.